Good afternoon. This is All India Radio. I am Valsa Williams and with me is Anita Anand with the Midday News. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi interacts with Chief Ministers of 10 states reporting high number of COVID cases, discussion on creation of more ICU beds, COVID care facilities and facilitation of movement of medical oxygen carriers. Over 1,93,000 people recover from COVID-19 in the last 24 hours. More than 13 crore 54 lakh COVID vaccine doses administered in the country so far. 3,32,730 new COVID-19 cases reported in the country in the last 24 hours. New COVID cases declined slightly in Mumbai and Maharashtra. Experts predict more decline in coming weeks. Punjab to vaccinate people free of cost from the age of 18 to 45. Reserve Bank of India allows banks to pay dividends on equity shares. In West Bengal, campaigning for the 7th phase of assembly elections to conclude this evening. And in IPL cricket, Punjab Kings to take on Mumbai Indians at M.A. Chidambaram Stadium in Chennai this evening. As the number of COVID cases is on the rise again, we appeal to our listeners not to lower their guard, follow all precautions and all those above 45 years to get vaccinated without any hesitation. Stay safe and protected by following these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi interacted with Chief Ministers of 10 states reporting high number of COVID cases. Chief Ministers of Maharashtra, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Kerala, Gujarat, Delhi, Rajasthan, Karnataka and Tamil Nadu are attending the virtual meet. These states account for nearly 75% of the total new cases reported daily. Our correspondent has reported that the Prime Minister's discussion is primarily focused on creation of more ICU beds and COVID care facilities in these high-burden COVID states. He has also stressed on the need to facilitate movement of medical oxygen carriers for its easy accessibility. The Prime Minister also reiterated the need to scale up testing and creation of micro-containment zones for better management of the pandemic. Home Minister Amit Shah, Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan, Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal are also present in the meeting. Earlier in the day, PM Modi also reviewed the emerging situation of COVID-19 in the country in a meeting with top government officials. The Prime Minister is interacting with leading oxygen manufacturers in the country now to take stock of the production and supply of medical oxygen amid its rising demand across states, reporting a surge in COVID cases.
Government today said that 13 crore 54 lakh 78,420 vaccine doses have been administered in the country till now. Health Ministry said country has reported 3,32,730 new COVID-19 cases in the last 24 hours. With this, the total cases have reached 1 crore 62 lakh 63,695. The ministry said 1,93,279 people were discharged in the last 24 hours. Till now, 1 crore 36 lakhs 48,159 persons have recovered from COVID-19. The recovery rate is now at 83.92%. Active cases in the country are 24 lakhs 28,616. Health Ministry informed that 2,263 deaths were reported in the last 24 hours and the death toll due to the pandemic has reached 1,86,920. For the last few days, new cases of COVID-19 are either steady or slightly declining in Mumbai and entire Maharashtra. Experts say in few weeks, more decline can be observed. Here is a report.
2 weeks ago, more than 10,000 patients of COVID-19 were registered in Mumbai, but later gradual decline is observed in this number. In last few days, around 7,000 new patients are being tested positive in Mumbai. More number of patients are being discharged as compared to new patients. Experts say this will continue and more decrease in number of cases can be observed from the second week of May. AT Chandra Foundation's model says around 40% Mumbaikars have developed antibodies and it is rising fast due to new infection and vaccination. Global evidence analysis suggests that 60 to 65% is the tipping point, and later daily cases decline sharply. As per this study, number of new cases in Mumbai can be limited to 3 digits by June. Vaccination of population above the age of 18 and strict restrictions on the movement of people will also help to minimize the spread of virus in Mumbai. Jeevan Bhausar, AIR News, Mumbai.
In Maharashtra, 13 patients lost their lives in a fire at a private COVID hospital in Virar near Palghar district near Mumbai this morning. Fire was reported at around 3 a.m. in the ICU ward of the hospital. Fire brigade doused the fire. President Ramnath Kovind has expressed grief over the incident. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has expressed sadness on the loss of lives. Prime Minister Modi has approved an ex gratia of 2 lakh rupees each from Prime Minister's National Relief Fund (PM-NRF) for the next of kin of those who have lost their lives. 50,000 rupees will be given to those seriously injured. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh said he is saddened by the loss of lives due to the tragic fire. Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan has expressed sadness on the loss of lives.
In Madhya Pradesh, the state's largest COVID care centre is developed at the Radha Swami Satsang Vyas Ashram located in Khandwa Road in Indore. Less symptomatic and asymptomatic patients who do not have home isolation facilities or patients whose health status needs to be regularly monitored will be kept there. More from our Bhopal correspondent.
The state-of-the-art COVID care center, built with public support, is being started with 600 beds. An action plan to increase its bed capacity to 6,000 has also been made. 4 major hospitals of Indore, Medanta Hospital, Bombay Hospital, Choitram Hospital and Rajshri Apollo Hospital have been entrusted with the responsibility of supervision of the center. The medical staff of these hospitals will provide medical facilities at the center. Member of the state-level COVID Advisory Committee, Dr. Nishant Khare, said that the entire arrangements of the COVID care center have been made through public support. Collector Indore Manish Singh informed that 2 oxygen plants costing more than rupees 2 crore are being built with public participation in this COVID center. Pooja Pivardhan, AIR News, Bhopal.
In Chhattisgarh, the number of COVID-positive patients has crossed the 6 lakh mark. Yesterday, 16,750 new COVID-positive patients have been identified in the state. With this, the total number of COVID-19 cases in Chhattisgarh mounted to 6,05,568. Currently, 1,21,555 people are being treated in hospitals or are in home isolation. According to the data given by the state government, 197 people died due to COVID infection during the last 24 hours. Our Raipur correspondent reports that in view of the current state of COVID infection in Chhattisgarh and the ongoing lockdown in various districts, the state government has decided that the ration of May and June will be made available together free of cost to the consumers of the public distribution system.
Amid rising COVID cases in Chhattisgarh, Chief Minister Bhupesh Baghel has taken a virtual meeting of the mayors, collectors and commissioners of various municipal corporations of the state and directed that during the period of lockdown, dry ration or ready food should be provided to the needy people with the support from various political parties and social organizations. He said that people coming from other states should not be allowed to enter Chhattisgarh without a COVID test. The Chief Minister said that remdesivir injection required for COVID treatment would be supplied only to the hospitals. He instructed that those who get symptoms of corona infection should be provided with a kit of medicines immediately. Meanwhile, the State Health Department has issued guidelines regarding the treatment of persons with corona symptoms in the event of delay in the COVID test report. Now, such people will also be provided with a kit of essential medicines immediately. Vikalp Shukla, AIR News, Raipur.
Telangana reported 6,206 fresh COVID-19 cases during the past 24 hours. According to the state COVID bulletin, 29 more persons succumbed to COVID-19, taking the death toll in the state to 1,928. The recovery rate stands at 85.59%. Over 3,000 people recovered from COVID. The state has currently over 52,700 active cases. Telangana state government has decided to airlift empty oxygen tankers to Odisha with the help of Air Force to bring back medical oxygen supplies to the state by road. State Health Minister E. Rajender and State Chief Secretary Somesh Kumar supervised airlifting of these tankers this morning from Begumpet Airport in Hyderabad to Odisha. This is the first time that any state has taken up such an exercise for oxygen transportation. Our Hyderabad correspondent says the state government has chalked out a plan to save 3 days' time in bringing 150 tons of oxygen to the state from Angul Rourkela steel plant. The oxygen supplies are expected to reach Hyderabad by 26th or 27th of this month. Puducherry recorded 792 new cases of COVID-19 today, taking the number of active cases to 6,330 as on date. Our Puducherry correspondent reports that 383 persons were discharged from the hospitals and 2 died.
The active caseload includes 1,297 being treated in hospitals and 5,033 under home isolation. A total number of 1,79,693 persons vaccinated so far, including 30,946 healthcare workers, 18,222 frontline workers and 1,12,280 general public. Meanwhile, the Pondicherry University announced that the campus will be closed for 5 days from today. According to a circular issued by the registrar, the university campus shall remain closed from today 23rd to 27th as a measure to control the outspread of COVID-19 within the campus. The PhD scholars and the inmates who are presently residing at the hostels are asked to vacate the hostels not later than 25th. Reopening of the hostels will be announced later on the university website. Chandramohan, AR News, Puducherry.
Punjab Chief Minister Captain Amrinder Singh has announced that the state government would undertake vaccination in the age group of 18 to 45 years from May the 1st, and it would be ensured that the vaccine would be given free of cost in all government healthcare facilities across the state. The Chief Minister was chairing a high-level meeting in Chandigarh to review the prevailing COVID-19 situation in the state. The Chief Minister was informed that the state had received 4 lakh more doses of Covishield vaccine from the centre on Thursday. These were likely to last for only 3 to 4 more days as per the pace of the ongoing vaccination drive. The Chief Minister asked the Health Department to vigorously pursue with the Union Government for ensuring requisite supply of more Covishield vaccine besides getting requisite stock of Covaxin doses as well. In Uttarakhand, taking into account the rise in COVID-positive cases, the state government has decided to close all government offices from Saturday to Monday for sanitization. Dr. Pankaj Pandey, Secretary in charge of Health Department, informed the media yesterday that the number of COVID-19 cases in Uttarakhand breached the 4,000 mark on Wednesday. It has been decided that the state government offices will remain closed for a period of 3 days, Friday, Saturday and Sunday, for sanitization. He said that there is no scarcity of oxygen in the state. Dr. Pandey informed that 10,375 isolation beds are available in Uttarakhand, out of which 9,388 are empty, but the hospitals in Dehradun are full, as the capital city is also witnessing a lot of patients from neighbouring states such as Uttar Pradesh and Himachal Pradesh. The city-based government and private hospitals are ensuring proper availability of oxygen from respective vendors. In Assam, 1,931 positive cases have been reported during the last 24 hours. Nearly 400 people were discharged from hospitals during that period after recovering from COVID-19. The Health Department has administered over 68,000 vaccines yesterday in the state. Chief Minister Sarbananda Sonowal will hold a review meeting at Nagaon and Jorhat today on the COVID situation. Senior officials in Guwahati informed that interstate passengers to be checked on the borders of Assam for COVID.
In view of the rising COVID cases in the country, Sri Amarnath Ji Shrine Board has temporarily suspended the registration for this year's Yatra to the Amarnath Cave Shrine. In a tweet, the Shrine Board said the COVID situation is being constantly monitored and registration will be reopened once the situation improves. The 56-day annual Amarnath Yatra will commence on June 28th and continue till August 22nd. The online registration for the Yatra began on 1st of April, which now stands suspended. You are listening to the Midday News on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi interacts with chief ministers of 10 states, reporting high number of COVID cases, discussion on creation of more ICU beds, COVID care facilities and facilitation of movement of medical oxygen carriers. Over 193,000 people recovered from COVID-19 in the last 24 hours. More than 13 crore 54 lakh COVID vaccine doses administered in the country so far. 3,32,730 new COVID-19 cases reported in the country in the last 24 hours. New COVID cases declined slightly in Mumbai and Maharashtra. Experts predict more decline in coming weeks. Punjab to vaccinate people free of cost from the age of 18 to 45. Reserve Bank of India allows banks to pay dividends on equity shares. In West Bengal, campaigning for the 7th phase of assembly elections to conclude this evening. And in IPL cricket, Punjab Kings to take on Mumbai Indians at M.A. Chidambaram Stadium in Chennai this evening. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
चलो मिलकर एक शुरुआत करें, चलो एक फैसला आज करें, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे, चलो एक इरादा करते हैं, चलो कुछ वादा करते हैं, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे.
Welcome back to the Midday News. The Reserve Bank of India has allowed banks to pay dividends on equity shares, asking banks to proactively raise and conserve capital in the wake of the second wave of COVID. The RBI has told banks to restrict dividend to 50% of what regulations allow. The RBI has clarified that all banks shall ensure to meet the applicable minimum regulatory capital requirements after dividend payment. Last year, the central bank had banned banks from paying dividend after the COVID outbreak. Cooperative banks are permitted to pay dividend on equity shares from the profits of the financial year ended March the 31st, 2021. Economists feel this is a very positive decision as it would help in improving the environment in the stock market. At the stock markets, pairing its early gains, the Sensex at the Bombay Stock Exchange gained 26 points or 0.1% to trade at 48,107 in the afternoon session a short while ago. The Nifty at the National Stock Exchange rose 6 points to 14,412, but the broader market outperformed the Sensex, with the BSE Mid-Cap Index advancing 0.8% and the Small Cap Index climbing 1.1% in intraday trade.
In the poll-bound West Bengal, the high-pitched campaign for the 7th phase of assembly elections concludes this evening on a subdued note. In view of rising cases of COVID-19, the Election Commission prohibited any roadshows, padyatras and vehicle rallies in the light of non-adherence to the COVID protocols by many political parties. In an order issued yesterday, the central poll body said that public meetings beyond the limit of 500 persons will not be allowed in the state. The new provisions will be in place till the conclusion of the polls. Taking strong cognizance of the non-adherence of COVID protocols during campaigning by several political parties, the Commission reiterated its direction to all political parties to strictly adhere to the COVID protocols in all the future rallies in the state. Earlier, the poll body decided to curtail the campaign timings for the remaining phases of 8-phase assembly elections. The Commission banned campaigning from 7 p.m. to 10 a.m. on all days. It also extended the silence period from 48 hours to 72 hours before polling for the remaining phases, and as a result, the campaign will end this evening. In the wake of COVID-19, all the prominent political parties decided not to hold big rallies and public meetings in West Bengal. Prime Minister and senior BJP leader Narendra Modi will virtually address the voters in Malda, Murshidabad and Birbhum districts and state capital Kolkata today. Chief Minister and AITC Chief Mamata Banerjee has also cancelled all scheduled public meetings and said she will be reaching out to people virtually for the last 2 phases of the assembly elections in the state. The polling process is already over in respect of 223 out of total 294 assembly seats in the earlier 6 phases. During the 7th phase, total of 268 candidates will be vying for the 34 out of previously scheduled 36 assembly seats spread over 5 districts of West Bengal going to polls on Monday as the poll process in respect of Samcherganj and Jankipur was adjourned by the Election Commission following deaths of the candidates in the 2 assembly constituencies. A report.
The election campaign in West Bengal is limited to key constituencies due to the restrictions imposed by the Election Commission. Loudspeakers are playing out speeches or songs for each political party. Big crowd is out of the campaigns. Bhawanipur or Bhabanipur assembly segment, held twice by Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee earlier, is the focus of attention in the 7th phase. She had defeated Deepa Dasmunshi from Congress with a margin of over 25,000 votes in 2016. In this election, she has moved to Nandigram. The electricity Minister in the Mamata Banerjee cabinet, Subhadev Chattopadhyay, is up against actor Rudranil Ghosh of the BJP. In the previous election in 2016, TMC had won 14 out of 34 constituencies going to the polls on April 26. The CPIM alliance had won 20 seats. BJP had performed better in these seats during the Lok Sabha elections in 2019. Sudhindra, AIR News, Kolkata.
The Election Commission issued fresh poll notifications in respect of Samcherganj and Jangipur Assembly constituencies. The polling in these 2 constituencies will now be held on 13th of May and the whole process of elections will be completed by 18th of May. Similarly, in case of Assembly by-polls to Pipli seat in Odisha, the polling will now be held on 16th of May and the counting of votes will be taken up on 19th of May.
The National Investigation Agency has arrested Mumbai Police Inspector Sunil Mane in Ambani bomb scare case. He has been arrested for his alleged role in the case. He was working in the crime branch when the incident happened and later transferred to local arms unit. NIA spokesperson said he will be presented in court today. He is the 3rd police person arrested in this case after API Sachin Waze and API Riaz Qazi. Mumbai police have already suspended both. Area under summer crops has shown an increasing trend in the country this year. The Agriculture and Farmers Welfare Ministry has informed that sowing of summer crop is 21.5% higher this year in comparison to corresponding period. The total crop area has increased to 73.76 lakh hectares from 60.67 lakh hectares. The area sown under pulses, oilseeds and rice has increased this year.
The U.S. State Department has advised its citizens to avoid traveling to India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Afghanistan and the Maldives due to the sudden surge in COVID-19 cases in the region. In a travel advisory yesterday, the authorities also urged Americans to reconsider travel to China and Nepal. Earlier, Center for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, issued a Level 4 travel health notice for traveling to India due to COVID-19, indicating a very heavy level of COVID-19 in the country. United States will boost public climate finance to help poor countries reduce greenhouse gas emissions and adapt to the challenging climate. White House said it is embracing ambitious but attainable goals for international aid to developing countries given the urgency of the climate crisis and to compensate for a sharp drop in U.S. funding during the Trump administration. It added that by 2024, it will triple financing of climate adaptation, which focuses on adjustments to current or expected climate change. The U.S. administration released its climate finance plan in tandem with a new goal to cut emissions by 50 to 52% from 2005 levels. U.S. International Development Finance Corporation will also change its development strategy to include climate for the first time and prioritize climate mitigation and adaptation.
Today is World Book and Copyright Day. This day was created by UNESCO on the 23rd of April 1995 to celebrate books and authors and encourage young people to discover the pleasure of reading. Now, World Book Day continues to encourage children and young people to read for pleasure through its work with authors, illustrators, bookshops and libraries. A desk report.
Roman philosopher Cicero said, "If you have a garden and a library, you have everything you need." Books are the most important to humans. As people across the world struggle to cope up with the pandemic, books have become a powerful tool to tackle loneliness and isolation. According to the UNESCO, in some countries, the number of books read has doubled since the pandemic forced people to stay home. On World Book and Copyright Day, UNESCO encourages you to challenge yourself to explore new topics, formats or genres that are out of your ordinary. On this day, let us spare a thought about millions of underprivileged children who are far removed from the world of books, online classes, and one never knows when they may go back to school again. On this World Book Day, it's important to take the time out and read with children. Books are the biggest tools to fight illiteracy, poverty and strengthen peace. Diksha Saxena, AIR News, Delhi.
Today is the 405th death anniversary of the world's preeminent dramatist William Shakespeare. He was not of an age but for all time, says the English playwright and the literary critic Ben Jonson about William Shakespeare. Desk report.
William Shakespeare, who was born in 1564 at Stratford, England, was an English poet, playwright and an actor, commonly regarded as the finest master of English language and the world's greatest dramatist. He contributed thousands of words to the English language, many of which have found their way into modern common usage. He changed verbs into adjectives, nouns into verbs, added prefixes and suffixes and much more. Shakespeare has written some preeminent pieces of literature that employ drama and comedy as the main elements. Shakespeare has written plays from all genres, including drama, thriller, psychothriller, romance and comedy. Much of his works are studied in schools as part of the curriculum. The most popular Shakespeare plays include Romeo and Juliet, Hamlet, Othello, King Lear and Henry V. Shakespeare's writings, whether sonnets or plays, are the true definition of classics. He had a wonderful human understanding that has crossed culture and time, and his writings have had a major influence on many writers around the world, and all of his writings were translated into all languages around the world. His writings are timeless. Ravi Kumar, AIR News, New Delhi.
Telangana is home to several internationally acclaimed artists. And now the list just got bigger, with Madhuri Srikanth receiving a special invite to showcase her works at Romantica, an international art exhibition at the prestigious MADS Art Gallery in Milan, Italy, starting from today and continuing till May the 3rd. The only Indian artist to have received this honour, Madhuri has been invited to showcase 3 of her works at the exhibition. The 3 art pieces, Benevolent Buddha, an acrylic painting on a clay board, Golden Geisha, a Tanjore painting with 22-carat gold, semi-precious stones accompanying with poster colours on a wooden panel, and Shadow Sway, Tanjore painting with 22-carat gold, semi-precious stones, and Swarovski's crystals accompanying with poster colours on wooden panel.
In IPL cricket, Punjab Kings will take on Mumbai Indians at M.A. Chidambaram Stadium in Chennai today at 7:30 p.m. Last night, Royal Challengers Bangalore RCB trounced Rajasthan Royals RR by 10 wickets in Mumbai.
Now let us take a look at the weather forecast for today. The national capital Delhi will have generally cloudy sky with light rain or drizzle. The maximum temperature will be around 32 degrees Celsius, while the minimum temperature recorded 19 degrees. Mumbai will have a partly cloudy sky. Maximum temperature will be around 35 degrees, while it registered a minimum of 26 degrees. Chennai will have partly cloudy sky with maximum temperature rising to 34 degrees from the minimum of 28. Kolkata will have a partly cloudy sky with possibility of moderate rain or thunderstorm. Maximum temperature is expected to be 31, minimum around 23. Srinagar is expected to have generally cloudy sky with light rain. Maximum temperature will be around 16 degrees Celsius, while the minimum was 5 degrees. Jammu will have generally cloudy sky with light rain. Maximum temperature will be around 27 degrees, minimum 14. Leh will have generally cloudy sky. Maximum temperature around 8 degrees, minimum 0 degree. Gilgit is expected to have partly cloudy sky. Maximum temperature will be around 25, minimum recorded at 8. Muzaffarabad will have mainly clear sky, becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. Temperature will rise from a minimum of 11 to a maximum of 21 degrees. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi interacts with Chief Ministers of 10 states reporting high number of COVID cases. Discussion on creation of more ICU beds, COVID care facilities and facilitation of movement of medical oxygen carriers. Over 1,93,000 people recover from COVID-19 in the last 24 hours. More than 13 crore 54 lakh COVID vaccine doses administered in the country so far. 3,32,730 new COVID-19 cases reported in the country in the last 24 hours. New COVID cases declined slightly in Mumbai and Maharashtra. Experts predict more decline in coming weeks. Punjab to vaccinate people free of cost from the age of 18 to 45. Reserve Bank of India allows banks to pay dividends on equity shares. In West Bengal, campaigning for the 7th phase of assembly elections to conclude this evening. And in IPL cricket, Punjab Kings to take on Mumbai Indians at M.A. Chidambaram Stadium in Chennai this evening. And with that, we end the midday news.